the upcoming games here.
We saw carnage from Buriram against the team that was just on the screen, Clover. STK got annihilated by them in a masterclass on crashing. STK plummets, rather, to 12th place so far with 3 games left to play. Are they the kind of team that is good enough at Erangel to get into the top 4 right now?
I think so. I think if they can play the circles right, and if they can keep their heads down just a little bit in the early game, if it doesn't go in their favor, we've seen Shoot to Kill, especially up in the late game on Erangel, play absolutely fantastic. But you bring up a good point with Buriram and those plays. This is the second time we've seen that from them today, sending Naradra early onto a compound to scout ahead, and then sending the rest of the team afterwards into slaughter. And this seems to be a big threat that they're bringing to every team. So I think everybody's got to kind of watch their back against Buriram.
Real quick, Froz, Buriram seems to be a big talking point because of what they're doing. Does having a wild card who's willing to just smash no matter what throw the lobby into turmoil? Are players scared of running into them?
I like what they're doing, because we're seeing so many splits early on in the game as well. And basically, they're like a punishing machine. They just go around and punish everyone who's doing these kind of splits. You got one guy by himself in this compound. Well, you know what? We're gonna crash you. We're gonna kill him. We're gonna grab that point, and then we're gonna go for the next one on your team. And they just keep on doing that all the time, and nobody knows where they are on the map. So you never know when they're coming for you.
You never know who's coming for you, but everyone is coming for the 4 angry men as they take pole position in the race as we transition to Erangel for our final 3 matches of the weekend, powered by Intel. Let's head over to the dynamic disquisition of Paper Thin and Toby.
Thank you so much, Des, the reliable reporters of recounting, doing a fantastic job as always. As yes, indeed, it is time for Erangel. It is time to see, with 3 games to go, if anyone can catch 4 AM, who looks on fire today. Even though that second game wasn't a win, it was still a very effective round for them, Toby.
Oh yeah, every time you get a chance to put 5 points on the board, you're gonna be satisfied with it, I would say. In most situations, of course, if you throw a clear win, you won't be satisfied with just 5 points, but when things are going against you and you still manage to wrap up 5 points, you should count yourself pretty satisfied with it. I'm looking towards a Freak of Freaks, I'm looking towards TSG and thinking, are we actually seeing the stupidity of the early game fighting again? It seems to me like we might not see them fight each other, but a Freak of Freaks have kicked Buriram out of Milta and now forced Buriram to go to the east, which, in all fairness, makes pretty good sense because Milta Power was free yesterday, no one went there, and now Buriram can go towards the east instead, and I don't think they're going to be missing anything inside of Milta that they can't find themselves in Milta Power instead. Yeah,
so I asked some of the Korean coaches and analysts, what in the world? Oh my God, these circles are just insanity, absolute insanity. Well, now that we've gotten that visual shock out of the way, so I was talking to particularly Cheese, he's the analyst for Danawa, one of the teams here in Korea, about what, at least from the mindset of the Afrika Freaks, does he think they're thinking, or if he had at least heard from them. And he said he hadn't heard from them directly, and he and I kind of shot some ideas back and forth, just like you and I have been, Toby. And what he kind of thinks is that for TSG, that compound that they were fighting with Afrika over is really important to not only getting a vehicle, but also making their rotation center circle, save for Afrika coming out of Milta. So if TSG can control it, then they can lock Afrika out of coming through that farm area to go center circle and force them into a longer, less desired rotation. So for both of the teams, that's at least according to him what he thinks. You know, again, he hasn't talked to anybody directly. What he was thinking the reason would be that they're so keen on fighting over that compound, even bringing it not only from the scrims, but into the games here today. Or yesterday, I should say.
Катайте, тащите. I get that thought. It makes sense to me, but at the same time,
мы будем
есть. With where they're sitting right now, for example, there's so many more desirable spots to go to. Sure, I mean, if you're banking on every game potentially being a military game, like we are seeing now, then wanting to take control of the crossroads down south of Milta makes perfect sense. But in 9 out of 10 other situations where it's not a military game, then it just doesn't seem worth the worth the risk of dying early to hard commit for a compound that really won't grant you more than one vehicle. I mean, if it's a question of them trying to get guaranteed cars,
Они,
I
блядь,
could name you 10
не
different
играют
compounds that
вообще.
are being on loot like that are not looted,
12
where there's
место,
odds
пацаны.
so
Офигенно.
just go there instead, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think vehicles are kind of like tertiary in the thought process flow chart. You know, they're more. It's about rotation, speed, and ability than anything he thinks. And I think in the long run, though, I kind of agree with you. Where I just don't think it's worth it because you're leaving a lot of points on the board. And I say that Hikari's already gone down as they cross the bridge ahead of TSG. But Afrika does get over first. But I mean, you're losing time, you're losing people, you're losing, and I think you're just losing points essentially for both of the teams if you keep fighting over it. Svit's actually on the boat. He's actually done it. It's happened. Mark your calendars. It is February 21st, 2021. Somebody took that darn boat.
And the other guys missed the ferry. Feels bad, man. The rest of attack all around missed the ferry. But as much as we've made jokes about this and the boat, like the ferries being added to rank, this is a pretty smart rotation. He's gonna get on the other side. There's gonna be no one shooting at him. That is a pretty safe play, and I just gotta kind of question mark a little Afrika Freaks rotation. They know after both playing yesterday and seeing what happened today, they know for a fact Uncivil's actually checking the ferries out. But this one, unfortunately for him, doesn't have anyone on it. I like the idea though, because people could be taking the ferries in these military circles. I'm loving the fact that he's at least looking for people on those ferries. No, but why would Afrika go past that area that they fought for yesterday? They know they just dropped on again without scouting it, without doing anything to make sure they weren't around. That's just, I mean, at least, okay, so they are driving underneath, trying to get up on the other side, but still, why? I don't know. It seems odd to me that they risk it.
Yeah, I think both of them were just like, they have that like internal clock going down where they want to get ahead of the other faster. You can see that there's a bolt there for Shandian, and he's not typically a bolter. There's basically no players in this tournament that are dedicated bolters. So if they're picking a bolt, it's typically because of a little bit of a shortage of loot. And now we've got two other teams. And okay, for
А ты же, Саня, блядь, когда доловишь, ну?
Swap. See if they're going to do it here. Multi-Circle Gaming actually opts to get out of their vehicles to try to make this. Evil Lee has an okay angle, but really isn't able to get much to land. I don't even know if he's popped any tires. Finally, somebody hits Godby in the head, hits him again in the body. He's down to 18 hit points, but 4AM going to avoid disaster for this one. Just is, it seems like when everything's going right, Toby, and today's been a great start for 4AM, things just start to fall your way.
Thank God we just dodged like 90 bullets there before finally getting hit, because there are at least 2 players shooting at him with like a full mag and nothing connected. That's
блин, ну это вати СТК, ну ё-моё.
I agree with you. When 4AM looks scary, they
Катайте.
they will make you give you nightmares. That's for sure. EB is over and across with Liquid looking down towards guys from STK. They've opted to play the hillside, makes perfect sense, and now 4AM trying to swap out vehicles for the almost burning ones. That makes good sense to me as well. Godby will get healed up, will get himself into a car, will get going, and they should have plenty of space on the south side of the circle to do just that. GX coming in late because
7 минут от матча прошло. Вы всего одного такого убили. Офигенно.
Because knows that STK is around and they're still sticking around here, this could be a rest in, I guess, the sea. GEX if they trade spots them.
Yeah, anytime you take a boat, there's always that risk that somebody's hanging out on the coast, particularly with a hard shifted circle to the west like this on the military island. Teams tend to start to stack up on the western coast, and yeah, let's see if any shots do end up coming. They're gonna see it. GX, I mean, there's quite a bit of room in this circle actually, so like for GEX they can really even just hang out in the water for a while. But they can just hang out in the water.
Что эти, бля, придурки творят?
Past STK and day trade, and I should point out here real quick. Well, let's see if a fight breaks out. Hold my thought. I was gonna say so. Okay, 4AM. Okay.
Это что-то, Саня, мне вчерашнюю катку напомнил, как ты меня так сбил,
They're
бля.
having a lot of luck. Well, apparently they're not. Oh no, Ants right in between them. A PO gets knocked
Прямо
by
в
Squeaky.
одного убили.
Instantly flushed it by Diggory. So Gen G, that vehicle mishap is costing them dearly. Trying to shoot through is Esker.
Кто кого убил?
Vehicle, and Onyx is gonna get two though. Over on the side of this Loki
А-
trying to go for
одного
the drive,
4
but
амуса
he's
нет
gonna
уже.
get it. They finish offense.
А,
We said we weren't expecting to see too much of a drive.
вот и Энси ушли.
There is your vehicles.
GG просто
Coming in
надо стоит.
handy on Onyx,
Расхуярили, отомстили за своего одного.
Barrel, not making that gun any easier to control.
А как всегда первым умер Пиво, наверное.
And as you said, ends eliminated. There
Ну, потому
is
что он
a tie.
один-одинешенька
This is
постоянно
pretty
где-то,
terrible
блядь,
for them,
в
because
чигирях
look at-
ходит.
Look at the leaderboard right now. Tied for second place in terms of the points anyway. 51 apiece for 3 teams. This will really give a chance for
Сейчас GG заберут, ну.
and Liquid for that second, the teams below them to separate themselves. They had a chance here to, if not get to first place, then at least get ahead of the other guys they were tied with. But now this is a free roam for Infantry and Brewer Ram to step ahead.
Oh, Shadian, what? He bolted him off of there.
You bolted him
my
out of the
lord.
vehicle.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, now the luck has finally run dry for 4 a.m. And things are falling a bit apart. Ibiza gets a great angle on top of Evo Lee. And that is going to be an easy flush for him. Team Liquid looking to repeat their strong Erangel performance from yesterday's
Englishman.
MTG. Now going to roll forward. Fine, maybe mexing up. They're going to keep driving by. They angled a bit like I thought they might try to get that house, but indeed they don't. Heading into potentially STK territory. No, okay, we're circling back right on top of Mexi. They realize this might be isolated.
They saw the solo player and they're calling the bluff. They want to take the fight to him. 4 HP. That should be an easy molly thrown forward. Or Nate, I don't care what it is. Just get him dealt with. Yep, the molly is there. Down he goes. And that's going to be the end, I would assume, of Mexi James trying to do at least some sort of damage in return. And he's going to succeed. Finds Summer, takes him down as well. Now it's just Tank left alive, trying to hold up what now has become the full push for Liquid. But wow, what a spray through the smoke. Able to find James early. Clip falls as well. That's Poochus from afar. There goes Sleepy as well. He tries to pull up, but he hits the tree and gets killed because of it. Hitting the wall with low HP is going to do him dirty. And Liquid.
Минус ликвиды.
15.
Oh no, just not able to do it. That could not.
Ща СТК нахуй расхуярит всех, блядь.
Clips into Leo, chonking away the SKS. TSG in a fight with Oath. Snaker's knocked, but it's like a couple members of TSG
Ща
were
мои
also
пацаны
found
исполнят.
in the process. Relo watching the angle here. Snaker's pretty well dead to right, it feels like, and Zenith cutting through Buriram territory. That's scary, scary, scary.
Три
He
желания.
already has one. Naraja trying to find another. Ross gonna switch over and get the knock. It's actually Punaj, excuse me, who finds him. So Nawadra knocked as the rest of Buriram now looking to circle the wagons potentially here. Smokes to try to find Shidboy. He is pretty well out in the open, it looks like.
This is a fight on the outside of what will be the next circle. This is going to be extremely difficult for them to really... I mean, they have to spend all the time doing this rather than try and get in from what's happening inside. The circle now is to float over here. Pat Cap's trying to do some damage.
Вот тут пацаны попали в зарубу.
Yamsi and Volibear trying to stay alive inside their respective buildings. Volibear ain't going to manage to do so. Pat Caps finds...
Три тимы, короче.
Yamsi is in the building now trying to find one.
Так, минус ТСГ.
Pat Cap's position, and that is going to be a 4-0 wipe on TSG.
Man, Pat Caps gave us that wink and nod before the game when he was on camera, and it's like he knew something, Toby. It's like he knew he was going to have a highlight reel play in this one.
Сейчас минус. Просто.
Gotta show us this replay. What
Те, кто в топе.
here is the big question. Oh my God,
Без
he got
киллов,
behind the
пацаны,
vehicle
будут.
and waited for him to get into it.
It was a bait.
Oh my God.
И СТК.
Amazing.
Просто пролетел сейчас.
Oh, that's so sneaky. That's solid
Bad. I
snake
thought it
levels
was a
of sneaky,
drive.
Toby.
That is so
did I.
smart. So smart. Yeah, because I saw them driving past one another, but he jumped out, he sat behind the car, waited for someone to take it, and then takes him down. That is just savage. That is a backstab if I've seen one. Well, let's see if you guys can get your cokes in there faster than everyone else, and I guess kind of maybe backstab. No.
Минуточку. Р. Блять. Р. А.
Хорошо. Код успешно активирован.
Сейчас я попробую себя активировать. Эй, кот больше не сидит, пошли нахуй. Когда, блядь, они, сука, успевают его вводить? Ну ладно, похуй.
What's going on?
Продолжаем.
How hard do you want
Well-
it to shift, Griffin?
I mean, as much as it can. I'm very happy about that. But this
Well,
goes to
Пиздуй нахуй, дикоды.
This goes to SDK's favor, and I got to give a quick shout out to my guy, the coach for SDK, Owen Machine Gunner. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Machine Gunner, dude! You're the greatest. Love you, buddy, and hope you guys can find a win here maybe today to get your birthday present. Purdy Curdy said he was going to try to bring you one. So again, happy birthday to Gunner, the coach for SDK. Now back to the game. Zenith, Cloud Carmen.
Пизду их на.
And coming up next to
Дикоды.
AAA with Oath here. Oath slamming on in.
Going full speed forward, trying to take control, but it's only Snakers left alive. They did not succeed here.
Опа, опа. Тузики пошли.
TSD. Now let's see if I'm true to that word. It is still 1v2. It is still doable. Snakers. Those are the whereabouts of Janko. Trying to do damage over the side here as well. Jayers want to jump out, but he's quickly regretting that decision. Fortunate for him, it didn't quite go out. And of course, the third party comes into effect. Lou finds one. And maybe he's going to try and push forward as well. Jayers spraying through the bush. Does manage to get the headshot in there. Lou falls down. Super flushed. Just a second as well. Nope, now a little more. But I don't think, yeah, we can see Forever was running out in this direction, but opted to back off again. Not a whole lot.
Пизда, короче, флемовцев.
Help his fallen teammate there, Edie.
Я же говорю, сейчас все топовские команды просто полягут. И СТК все киллы заберет. Да хотя бы на 4-й, Сань. В чем тут? Хотя это 4. Что в топ-4 просто попали и все. Уже будет хорошо.
They're just going to scoop one up after the hard work of attack all around. Prize pool continues to grow as this circle will do the opposite. It's going to shrink here relatively soon. GEX just outside of the circle currently. Well, the next circle, I should say. They spent a bit of time before they're pushed forward by the blue zone. Gen G was able to hang out on the other side of the bridge for quite some time before being forced over. More or less just by recognizing there was open space, you know.
Я же стримлю.
Now they're coming over and quite a bit of territory for them to work with.
This is some high DPI.
Да ладно, пизжуну. Вводил, сука. Не успел.
But I mean, going back to Gen G, I've seen them do this on so many occasions now that I think it's just become a core part of their strategies. If we have a chance to go to the quiet side of the circle, we will. They're oftentimes, if not always, the team that stays on the north side of military circles longer. They're always the team that sits on the west coast when we have those Yasnaya endings. They're the team that sits, like, that remains on the west side.
Sure.
What if the circle goes through? This circle, pretty predictable, would go down towards the southeast. I think that's why we see Zenith commit to the shack with the amount of players they have. They knew that we're going to get at least the next circle. Now let's see GEX with the pull-up on Tank. He's a solo player for now. Damage done. He was able to hold out the majority of Team Liquid. Can he hold out all four here as well from GEX?
Yeah, grenade isn't going to connect on anybody. There's one. He spins around the corner. Can't find any more. Pretty decent attempt, but there's just too much GEX for him to handle. And standing out in the open is Gems, and that's another point. 3 kills forever. Has 2 of them. Now going to make a desperate run alone. Trying to get to the next circle. Edie torn asunder. Esther finds the back end. Finishes him off. More Buriram still yet to come potentially. There's still 2
Минус флем.
waiting and trying to see if they can find an angle up.
Но они хотя бы
They have to work.
сдохли
Not a lot. There's a few trees, not even
не без киллов.
For them is they have to push up this hill. They cannot really run forward with attack all around, still being on the other side of the ridge. They need to make the cross up to Gen G to try and stay alive. And Gen G, unfortunately for Buriram, knows exactly where they're positioned. There's not really anything they can do to push in. They have Zenith in front. You saw them just there.
Как эти гребаные СТК.
And there's really 3 teams out on this side here towards the northeast. They're going to be fighting for essentially just one spot in the circle, which is just on the east side where Zenith is playing in from. And even that's going to be hard to control with infantry towards the north side compound. So we'll see. Attack all around. Where are they going on? They're going to try and play below Virtus Pro. I don't see that being a success story, but they are going for it. They are trying. Batulins finally able to find Yanku, and I don't see them, as I said, being able to succeed in doing that whatsoever. They are falling back. They are trying to take the fight to Program. Now, got me out trying to drive forward. Headshot towards him. Down to low HP. He will fall in the end of it, but we're in phase.
Тузы, вы что творите, блядь?
A hell of a lot of damage, and I don't see a tag all around getting out of here.
Куда вы хотите вылезти, блядь?
Yeah, it's Thailand versus Thailand in this one, but with AAA trailing, yeah, there it's going to be exceedingly difficult. Although Esther does find another member of Buriram, Kanaxi down, Buriram out intense, so no placement points again for Buriram. They continue to get it done almost exclusively through kills. Now 24 points behind 4AM, who sits atop the leaderboard quite far ahead of everybody else, but opportunities abound for these other teams. Batulin's now didn't even get a handle on this SLR. It took a few shots to find one member of AAA. Isn't even able to get much more damage in the Jayers there. Good opportunity, but just can't seem to find the right timing and leading with that SLR right now.
Where in the hell are you headed? I want to know, Cheers. Where can you find safety? There are a couple of rockets in the middle of the circle. He's going to be shot at everyone, everywhere he goes. He's going to be the only player in the circle that knows approximately the location of every single team, because he's being shot at by all of them in the meantime. They're up, just looking around, and yeah, Cheers will fall. There's simply too much fire going his way, and this is the exact position I was just talking about. There's really only going to be...
Там еще ифти живут, суки. Ну, я смотрю, СТК нахуй в них целится, только что там.
Going this game so far, 0 kills so far, and I'm hoping for Purdy that he's got to swap out his dual barrel shotgun with at least an AR for fights to come.
But bro, shotgun meta. No, he doesn't need to. Shotguns, they're so fun and they're so satisfying. Alright, well, yes, in this case you're going to be out in the open. The shotgun's not going to be super useful. Alright, Batulin's BP, they find themselves just outside, across the road of the next circle as well. 9 now sees the head of Esther, tries to land him a shot or two, but doesn't really find a connection. And Onyx now returning the favor with some shots of his own. SDK continues to lock down this compound, and Gen G has to fight their way through Zenith. But Zenith in the shack, and that's a problem, except for Kickstart comes around the side. Quick and easy onto Esther, and now Roth gets into Loki. It's this great defense from Zenith, although that fire doesn't get Roth, he just avoids it.
Such a smart positioning from Kickstart. Massive thumbs up, Kickstart. They know that Gen G are gonna pressure the shack. They know for a fact they're gonna be there, and Kickstart prones in the only area where it's not gonna be visible to the hillside. I think Anonix is now gonna do it theirs. See how many teams they can get shut up before eventually going down. I guess 4 teams to some extent too. It's only one. In response to that one, Zenith will now know that infantry are coming from the low boulder went down before, but Xiaoyang found the first knock on towards Roth, and that's going to allow them to push further forward.
Yeah, Zenith realizes that there's no helping Roth, so it's time to either avoid the infantry onslaught or, you know, maybe fight them, but avoid is going to be the decision made, and I think that's probably a good one with how aggressive and crazy good infantry can be. Even fighting from low ground, infantry is scary as heck. GEX pinned inside of this compound, but doing a pretty good job avoiding any knocks so far. That can be really difficult in a compound like this, but so far so good. Maoye splashes in his face some more, but they've moved to the outside, to the back, avoiding a lot of these throwables from Virtus Pro, but Virtus Pro right up in their grill right now, Toby.
There are only so many rooms in this building, and somehow both the GX players have managed to deny pretty much all damage coming their way. Finally, the Molly is going to be ghost. He's sitting off in the balcony, and I'm sure he's going to go down because of it. Instantly, though, CC finds the double inside. Leo takes down Spirit as well. Who's going to take himself? There's just one left alive. Within seconds, GX holds off. Hero sets the alive. That was going to be five. Not quite the case. Bullets missed, and he's going to get himself one more. So 2 rounds now in his favor. He's going to find the third as well. I think he just did. There's just one left alive now. 1v3, and it's working out for Heroes, and 1v1 now against different CC. He saw him on the other side. He gets the readout. Leo is there. It's low HP. No, he knows it from nowhere. 1v4 turns it around Heroes and gets 3, and he's in the top 5.
СТК, бля.
That just happened.
Капец, блядь, СТК нахуй. Столько времени идти. Ничего, серьезно, что ли? СТКшечки, вы чё? Офигеть.
12 down as well. Alo pretty far out, but Purdy Curdy always where there's one member of shoot to kill, there's almost always another. And Zhao Yang realizing that he needs to get over the long skirt. Plenty of smokes available right now. A little bit of time in the hand. Reviving both teams now as they're going to fall back off of this. Kickstart comes over to Iris and he's like, you got really beat up, bro. I think I can win this 1v1. But right now, I don't know if you want to mess with it. Iris, it takes a bunch of damage, though. Going to have to back off. Great spade by Kickstart through a tight little angle. It's going to be the grenade and rip indeed. That's going to do it. What a play by Iris though earlier.
Yeah, that's, you could not expect anything more from him whatsoever. Great play from him to not only stay alive, but get, quick math, 5 more points for his team in doing so. Very impressive play. And I was looking at this earlier while everything else was going on. I was keeping my eyes on the map stream a little, looking at
Eyeball
see
down.
how they were
Eyeball
trying to
down.
play around the hill, if they were going to try and go up and punish infantry and prevent them from being able to do anything with it. I like the fact that they pushed up, but they pushed up a bit too far, which could have been scary for them. They were in a position where the remaining 2 players inside the compound just exactly couldn't get eyes on to help, but fortunately they did manage to get back down the hill, managed to stay alive, and forced infantry to go the other way. And again, these compounds, they can be your 1 kill 3rd place compounds, or they can be your 15 kill 1st place compounds, depending on how you utilize the hard cover to full effect. So Zhao Yang will fall not to the hands of STK, but Daytrade able to get a kill. Remember Daytrade, they were the team that were sitting on the shoreline. I don't want to say the entire game, but vast majority of it. They held their fire for so long, knowing that if they start shooting, everyone will know their position and take.
Да вы запарили, блядь, дайте СТК пострелять, блядь.
And they're finding themselves kills and space with it. Only 3 teams left alive. 4 in STK who are now trying to push forward. 4 in Daytrade, and a solo left from C.
Yeah, even Daytrade's here. And by the way, it's only
Давайте
phase 6.
что-то
We
kill.
are not even into phase 7 yet because of how wide open. I mean, this particular circle is just basically one kind of rolling hill, just from west to east there, and you can see it from Uncivil's perspective. There isn't a lot going on inside of it. There's a plateau on the top where Daytrade is, there's the hill bottom where SDK is in the compound, and there's Kickstart just kind of hanging out on the side, seeing if he can be a thorn in the side of one of these teams. And
Кикнутый со старта.
takes a little bit of damage. SDK out early, establishing their ground in the center of this circle and looking to barricade Daytrade potentially if this phase 8 circle, if it even comes to that, comes their way.
Okay, with this shift, Kickstart is starting to realize that that top 2 spot is it's probably
Красавец. Просто вычислил. Вообще молодчага. Ну чё? СТК, давай. О, АВМ. Ну давай, чувак, ты должен уже исполнить. Давай, давай, давай. Фри желание. СТК! СТК! Блять. Первый промах, 22 пацан. Они уже не высунулся, блять, услышали выстрел АВМ, блять. Понимают, что, сука, зона у них, блять. Все, пизда нахуй СТК, блять.
Good bolters. Purdy gonna be up in front, gathering that info.
Просто капец им.
SDK, but Daytrade isn't moving. They're gonna dig in. They're gonna go for the prone strategy. See if they can maybe catch somebody from SDK. But SDK is smart. They're jumping up over the hill line, checking it a bit. But that's gonna be
минус первый.
almost not there. But
Ничего себе.
there to cover him. This is what
Ничего себе.
so scary. It's never just one.
Ответочка.
Never ever take anything for granted. Players to be there to trade. We know they're doing this, and they do it here as well. Now one goes full. They want to get the res, of course, with an 8.
Закидываю тупо гренами. А где наш АВМ, блядь? Давай, на. Блядь, молик, нет! Пизда. Надо же было так кинуть этот молотов. Хорошо. Блять, у них размены, сука, идут. Один одного убивает, второй другого. На.
All right, let's see what we got from Uncivil and Alo. Can they bring that birthday present home for their coach? Rez being attempted by Venatica onto flash.
Куда ты кидаешь?
Stuns, nobody home.
Инвалидо.
Particular stun. Field goal in between the two trees there as they wrap around.
Офигеть, даже не пытались поднять своего.
Kind of direct traffic for his two players. Alo and Uncivil, very highly touted as great close-up players. You can see wide.
Смотри, опять размен произошел. Хорошо. Хорошо, СТК, блядь, давай.
Maybe thinking about the res now onto Uncivil. He's got enough time. Nurens is out of any throwables. No frags, no mollies available here. Some stuns, and they do get the res. So now it is a 2v1 for SDK. They look to close this out.
Давай, СТК.
A little bit longer. A few more stuns rolling out to the side. Push him over. Uncivil, no health.
Что ж такая напряженка прямо.
Underneath the hill line though is Alo. He gets a pretty good
Опять он его вальнул, а? Капец, блядь, еще и Дэй выиграли, блядь, СТК, ты такой фуфлыжник, блядь. Зашибись, блин. Просто, блядь, он один и растащил. Вообще красавчик, Вася. Просто Вася, блядь, нахуй, сука, дебил, нахуй. Да я такая дебил. Всю игру, блядь, сука, вышивали, потом, короче, все. Вошли, нахуй, в это. Дебилы.
Yeah, it's a wonderful performance from Nurens and Daytrade and SDK. I know Gunner's going to be proud of them anyway. I know they wanted to bring home that chicken dinner for their coach, but there's still opportunities, still 2 games to go, still that chance to get that birthday present for their excellent coach. And what a great finish there. A nice 4v4 with some really interesting technical decisions being made by both teams. Some really good back and forth. What a fun finish.
This was just a great game overall for PLAYERUNKNOWNS. I mean, sorry for Daytrade. They came to the island early. They stayed on the shoreline for so long, just saying we don't want to shoot at anyone. We'll just chill here. We don't need to do anything. And then to be able to bring home the win late in the game, very well done. But let's hop back to the desk now and see exactly what they thought of that game.
Thank you very much, guys. Nurens firing on all cylinders as he wins a very difficult 1v2 against a full health STK. He gave him the time for the res frost, he gave him the time for the heals, and he still took them to task. Heartbreaking for STK, but what a diamond-handed play by Daytrade.
Well, it was a trade-off for them there. Basically, they were saying, okay, if I go for this, I can push them out straight away, but they know that I'm going to be pushing. If I let them get the rest, I have the time to move around, and they don't know which way I'm going to move around from. So basically, he could choose where he wanted to come in from, where he wanted to strike. And we saw that even if Unciv actually got the heal off after the rest itself, he was still able to just caught him on guard, off guard, get him down, and then even get the one-on-one in the end as well. Really well played. I gotta say, like, STK as well, we saw how they were, for once, fanning out. They were not playing all in the same compound from the start because they knew they wanted to have the control early on, make sure no one was going to be on the ridges close.
Дебилы.
Yeah, and you do bring up a good point about STK because when we got to the late game, they kind of had that compound down in the dip, and it didn't really give them a sight line in most of the other teams around. And at that time, they were only sitting on 1 point, on 1 kill, and pushing out of that compound, but leaving Civ behind. A lot of opportunities to try to bring that number up, keep infantry out from their areas. Remember, infantry was fighting Zenith and Genji up on the edge for a bit, and so we saw them looking for proactive ways to pick up points, but ultimately, in the end, coming out to Daytrade, who, from their own vantage point, coming in from the west side, had a lot of sightlines through multiple fights because, I mean, there was so much water into play. We didn't really get to talk about that a whole lot yet, but when that first phase popped, I think it was something along the lines of 60% of it gone to the water. Day trade coming in out of Primors, rotating out onto the coastline, and kind of hanging out and playing the edge against all the different teams that were out in that area. We had that big open field just to the east of them. We, of course, saw as well that third party onto the Team Liquid fight.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. We'll take a look at the circle in just a minute. Match results coming in. Looking at those points, 19 total points for Day Trade. Shoot to kill, though, Fraz. If they had won that, that would have been a massive swing and maybe actually put them back in contention for the top 4.
It's still gonna put them still towards the top 4. Maybe not all the way, but they're gonna be close enough to be able to grab it in the last upcoming games. But that goes to Day Trade as well. Them being able to play this well. They've been consistent before this as well. We've seen them getting the third places as well. But this time being able to close it down, real nice to see. And as you can see here, Norris again getting himself 4 kills, being on the top leaderboard. He's done some phenomenal job, and it's such a nice thing to watch when you saw the end game there. How both SDK and Norris, they were both using the low ground to spin around. They were never trying to go on the high ground because it was way too risky. It was way too exposed. You go there, you need to watch 360 degrees. But if you go on the low ground, you basically need to watch in front of you. So it was really great PUBG play from both of the teams there.
Yeah, well, I think that finish is going to be a high for STK. Honestly, losing that 2v1 is going to be a low for them probably for the rest of the week because you want to win those. Let's talk about the circle. Southwest, 60% water. You brought it up, Clover. More importantly, there was like 10-15% chance that the mainland is even playable with where the circle went. So that's like, what, 25% of the first circle is playable? The real estate was just not there. How does that affect players, teams, and strategy, Clover, when it comes to that super important first rotation?
I mean, once again, it put teams right on top of each other early on, and we saw Bury Ram taking full advantage of those rotations that were coming out, getting some sneaky plays, no 80 hiding behind that.
А чё ты ушел сам катать?
That is something that's going to be really difficult for some of those teams that need a little bit more time to set up, and with these smaller circles,
Ну и что?
it just pushes everybody into each other. We saw, I think, pretty much by halfway through the game, more than half of the teams and players were already gone because there weren't a lot of places to rotate to, especially as that circle kept shifting towards water, right? We saw the Ferry Bay in play for quite a bit of that match, and that really made things difficult for teams to move around and kept people on top of each other. In fact, Soffies, I think even you at one point were out position and all of that.
Yeah, they, we'll get into that. Their rotation made no sense. The crazy shift in 3 justified the entire thing. Let's take a look at the schedule real quick, just so you know how many more games we have to play in the weekly final. We've got 2 more matches today till we crown a winner of this week's weekly final. $50,000 for first place, but guess what? After that, we take a break and we go right back into the weekly survival rounds. This is a Festivus of PUBG.
PUBG.
Bookmark the page and keep coming back.
А, еще не это вот.
We are about to break the top
Не
10
обновилось.
esports prize pools in history, folks. You're a big part of that. Congratulations. Right now, 4 Angry Men, 77 frauds. You know what? You just walk me through this thing.
О да, блядь. Шутки, СТК передвинулись, блядь, с 10 на 8 место. Красавцы. Еще 2 игры инвалиды.
But people weren't expecting them to be this good. Look at what they can do once they get up here. This is their first weekly final, both of the teams, and they are doing so good right now. They are doing way better than a lot of the big teams, and it comes down to how they're actually playing it down. A lot of the big teams, they get read by the other teams a lot. They know where they're gonna be playing.
Козявки, сука, оттирают.
Teams like Daytrade, Burrow, and they come in from nowhere. They're gonna sweep your foot. And you gotta make sure that you fall down, and then they
Он
gotta
чё, их
rise up.
съел?
And look at him right now, being in the top 4 with 2 games left. It's
Он
super
съел
tight at the
козюлю.
top, though. It's still anybody's games. I mean, it's gonna be amazing to see the upcoming 2 games there.
Unfortunate nose pick when we cut to them. Have been there, buddy. I understand. That said, though, you brought up Bury Ram, and I want to say this: they have been so dominant, Clover, that even when like Toby was throwing it back to us and was saying, congratulations, Day Trade. He called him Bury Ram because we can't get these guys out of our head. They're so strong.
You know, they're constantly showing us how creative they can be in terms of ways to get points and kills, and even on games that they're going out early, they're not going out with 0 on the board, and that's just continuing to show that the aggression and the fights that they're really willing to bring, which is making them as well such as an exciting team to watch.
Exciting indeed. Fraz, who are you watching? Give me a real quick. Who do you want to watch this match?
Looking at the scoreboard right now, I want to see Daytrade. I want to see Burram. I want to see what they can bring to the board here. We saw Burram last game only get himself 3 kills in a 10th place, so only 3 points. And Daytrade falls getting that win. They're both in the contention of getting that first place. If they can grab a win, they're gonna be on the top towards 4 a.m.
3 teams from NA, not one of them in the top 4 yet. Let's see if that changes, or let's see if the dominance of teams like Daytrade or Buriram continue. Can anyone catch 4 Angry Men? It is time now for match 9, the penultimate match of the day, about to get underway, powered by the good people at
Все, Саня, катка
Let's
началась.
head over to the academic Everton and Toby.
Так.
Thank you so much, Desk, the venerable veterans of variety, coming at you here with game number 4 on the day, game number 9 of these Week 2 weekly finals. Erangel will be our home for these last 2 games, Toby. And I gotta ask you, man, can anybody catch 4 at this point?
It's starting to look extremely difficult, and I cannot help but think, TSG, you were in first place yesterday. You spent 2 games trying to hot drop a team. First game, you end up instantly dying. Looking back at that now, was it really worth it, TSG? Was it really worth it? Because you're sitting outside the prize money now in 9th place. Sure, if you look at the points,
Ясно. Где, куда эти стыкасы? Ё-моё, на Ясную Поляну, понятно.
Yeah, I see a few players here potentially from AAA and Infantry that might cross paths a bit. GX and Buriram kind of chilling out around the chopsticks, and just keep our eyes on any of this. If there's any vying for control over vehicles or compounds or anything like that, Afrika this time kind of just gonna get into a vehicle altogether, try to avoid TSG, head to Milton.
Сейчас Африка чё, нахуй там Дэйв будет давить, да?
Northwest of it, maybe we can go north.
А не, сейчас Дэйв чё, нахуй как Африку будет катать, раскатывать.
Yeah, probably going south the river, but we'll see. You never know. I mean, it has been a day of
Бать, Дэйв на 3-е место вырвались. Нормально, бля, дави его, давай, Бурирам, ты чё, блин? Очканул парень. Очканул.
Someone will come out with a gun in hand and get themselves a kill in their direction, but Buram will get to loot towards the west, and this time round not up, it's all the way down towards Smelter Power. Makes perfect sense, might as well go somewhere else that you know is open and available, and well, in this case inside the circle.
All right, 4 a.m. uncontested in the school and apps in this particular tournament, and those of you that were watching PCS Asia last year knew it was kind of becoming a running meme, and then eventually a running frustration for me watching 4 a.m. and VLG fight. VLG to decide, okay, Rozok's been open most of the time, let's just hang out there instead, but 4 a.m. so you can see why they were able eventually to outlast the team in the PCS Asia events, and this one looking like this one's going to be a little less chaotic to begin for us, Toby. This isn't like Clover mentioned, 60% water.
Not this time around, fortunately. Would be pretty awful to see the same every single time. Now, I mean, this game does throw some other curveballs at us, though. It's going to be difficult in the sense that, A, of course, we aren't guaranteed which side of the river it's going to go to, but if we just exclude the whole river fact, it's still forcing teams into an area where we're pretty sure not to be headed to any city. So that's one factor. You don't have that safety, that backhand, that mulligan, that okay, if everything goes wrong, at least we can go to the city. And also what we do have available is very few compounds. It's a lot of forest play, it's a lot of hill and field play, pretty much no matter where we headed with this circle. And for the teams that get there early and do their gambling right, get the circle go in their direction, they're going to be really happy. As for everyone else, they will, within a circle or two, have to fight for spots, because no matter where this one is headed, there's going to be so much open terrain.
I'm really excited to see where the second circle goes, and it could be a 50-50, who knows. Those are always even more fun, again, for us, not the players, but that is what it is. Day Trade doing a fantastic job. We're seeing a really great performance this week from these Thai teams, Toby. I mean, you can talk about Day Trade, you can talk about AAA, you can talk about BATTLEGROUNDS. All of them have had big moments.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Attack All Around managed to bring home the win against Liquid outside of Pachinki yesterday was surprising to me. I was completely and beyond hyped when I saw Liquid realize the situation they were in when EJ from a free
5 минут игры. 0 киллов. Даже ни одного выстрела не было бы. О, давайте, валите. ТС, вон тузы едут, блин. Он один. А мы бы его запушили. Мы бы его запушили.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the confidence build, not just for them, but for a lot of these teams. Zenith, in my opinion, is looking much more confident and therefore playing better. TSG, we'll see what they can do on Erangel. Typically, again, they're a Miramar team, one of the best Miramar teams in the world. I don't think I'm remiss in saying that, as they are looking to try to get somewhere center circle, taking out some of the 8 bales early, because why not? I've always wanted to, like, try to keep track of that and see if anybody knocks over a hay bale that could have saved their bacon later on in the game. But that's almost impossible with how many teams are, you know, we got to watch at the beginning of the games and that kind of thing. At 4 AM, well, we know they like to shoot at people while they drive, but this time it's going to be finding Godby chilling on the
Вот
side
так
of
вот.
the hill
В
and
спину не убил, развернулся, парень не убил. Вот так вот, фомен, блин.
And while his team was rotating in and there was a silent buggy, he could not differentiate the sounds of the vehicles. And there was nothing in his approach that made him think, oh wait, that might actually be an opponent coming here. Very smart play from Triumphant Songs.
Ни хрена себе, ни хрена себе.
Yeah, exactly. And they get a little bit more damage into 4AM, but 4AM is able to divert, to retreat a bit, which isn't always super typical of 4AM, but I think in this case, again, discretion, the better part of valor for them. Infantry chilling, bridge camp time. Looks like they think about it. They do this about once every 10 games. They kind of, I think they have like a 10-sided dice, Toby, that at their desk, and they just and if it rolls the 10, that's when they decide to bridge camp, because they won't do it much. And they caught Oath sleeping one time earlier in the event. When Oath was coming out of the military base, because they hadn't done it at all. And Oath
залутал парень Дробчанский.
Now Oath has to respect this. There's Virtus Pro still chilling out behind this as well.
They don't respect it, but also infantry isn't exactly setting up on the bridge. They're actually doing it one step further behind. So if Oath doesn't go west here, like if they go east to go up towards like a Pachinki type road, they should be alright. But since they're not getting shot at immediately, now they're gonna letting their guards down. Okay,
Все.
they're not here, no worries. And 3,
Сейчас Ифти будут, да, встречать? Конечно, вот он бежит уже, блин, принимать. Да давай, стреляй по последнему. Высаживай его уже.
I think had they not seen Longsker, they might have wrapped rest on this one. But they saw him running out of the building. I was like, wait a minute, something smells rotten here. We'll head east instead. So Oath living with the scare, and now the next team in Lion Virtus Pro, having heard those shots, are gonna go, are you? I mean, we don't mind rotating in late, but please, can you just leave? Infantry, we know it's you. Just go away. We want to rotate across this bridge too.
50-50.
This is pretty interesting from infantry. I like the idea of
Может,
changing up
пас.
the spot where they set up the bridge camp, but this go
Гейминги,
around,
гейминги. Смотри, фомен.
Longsker reveals, and therefore the magic will not happen this time around.
Парень просто высадил пацана.
Finds forever, trying to see if he can get the flush. Has to readjust, trying to see if maybe he could get up there from that tower. It
Всё,
does have
сейчас
the
и тебя
angle. This is
положат.
really smart by Lingdu, knowing
Сейчас
his terrain,
и
knowing
сейчас
his
и его
sightlines
положат.
so
На тебе
incredibly well here.
гренку.
Summer now. It's time for him to just
Прям
manage
именно,
to
вот смотри, прям реально трехочковый забросил.
see really good kills
Шатафумены, короче, это,
for MCG.
сдают позиции.
Luke could do now to go and help. He's already across. He's just simply not in position to help. We saw them lose one earlier, and that's gonna be 4 AM on the struggle bus, at least for this game, because I said there's nothing Luke could possibly do to try and help them out here. So unfortunate start to the game for them. They are still up with quite a big buff.
Пришел добивать, смотри, добивает, соответственно.
Infantry sitting in second place currently, so I wouldn't assume
Добил,
4 AM to be over
добил.
in this match, but
Красавчик, чё на.
on them coming into the next one also. I mean, we have seen him
Просто
already
красавчик.
25-point game, so shouldn't say no too soon.
Хотя нормально, слышишь, это нормально, что топов сейчас выносят для меня, это хорошо. Без скиллов топов оставлять. Главное, чтобы так и стыкана не померли. СТК окружены, ё-моё, бля. 4 команды СТК просто сейчас окружили. Где там Фумен один?
The stupidity of tough circles for these players, because not only are we shifting into the area with the least compounds available, we're also still not guaranteed as to which side of the water we're headed towards. We're still only in phase 2. Next circle can literally go anywhere. So we'll see how this one's gonna unfold. Ends coming up towards the compound. They now know, and Silva's on the roof. You can see Tixo is looking around to try and see, is it just him? Are there more? Is it worth crashing? Me, knowing how Ends likes to play, I wouldn't assume that they crash. But then again, I was just gonna say we have seen them go more aggressive.
Один СТК, Энсы приехали. Раздуплить на. Он текает. Беги, Форест, блин, беги.
Well, I think his car is parked by that permanently fixed van or whatever it is. I think he parked it in between the building in there. And I think he has no escape with it, so he has to run. And I was actually just kind of thinking about this, like what is STK's response going to be if Ents decides to get aggressive? And I think you make a good point that it should have been maybe in a little bit of a better position to get with his teammates, because it's not at a best angle to escape if he needs to. That's something I know it's really important, of course, to keep your vehicle healthy. Purdy, though, is very kind and is going to offer the Uber to come and pick his teammate up.
Gotta give credit to Ends though. Again, it's saying it's a new Ends playstyle is not correct, because they have been going aggressive when forced to, but I feel like they dare go aggressive earlier than what they've done before. And while yes, they could probably easily have survived without getting control of that compound, this is gonna set them up in a much better position, where earlier they would have been forcing themselves to play in the
Чё,
open.
пил, как всегда, один?
They get themselves what could be, if
Не.
north again, a very good compound in the north.
Я думал, как всегда, один.
Long rotation for infantry over to the side. Code over there. It's a pretty long one, but fill it in. AASNLA 4EJEXT. And Jayers waiting for Virtus Pro. Is he all alone here? Is there nobody else from AAA? When I look at the map, indeed, there is nobody else from AAA. Parallel parking's hard. I understand. He actually might be saved by the shot.
Ты-то думал.
Oh no, he's gonna go back in. He's going from the other side. Oh boy. Oh no, 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 no.
Rusin really wants to get killed. That's the fact right now. This is the ultimate fate on Jayers. We're testing his patience to extents that I've
Пусть
never
будет.
seen before.
Кому пригодится.
He's not moving, he's holding his fire, and he is not committing to anything. The only
Малик
thing
тут
is to me,
зайдет, ну.
Rusin must have seen that US
Тут,
inside
знаете,
the warehouse already. That's not
Кодик.
details. I don't think he noticed it when he got there. He was too
Дрю.
busy trying to kind of yank that vehicle free and get it over on the other side when he started getting shot at. I don't think he has the slightest clue, and it's pretty easy to see that that's one that.
Что там? Пиу-пиу, ты убит. Пиу-пиу, ты убит. Высадили. Просто высаживают всех. Ты шо, Инекс, офигевший, а? Виртусы пошли. Тузы тащат. Правильно, топчиков всех. Да, хотя Виртусы не топчики.
And now JR's has the vehicle that Hiruzen brought, and he's gonna steal it. Thank you very much. Just gonna do a little GTA action and rob Hiruzen of his UAS and go regroup with the rest of AAA.
О, правильно. О, хорошо. Добивайте сразу же его, блин. Не... Опа. Опа. Все, минус их, я думал.
They're the reinforcements, not in time, but they might try to circle up on GEX. However, Gen G sitting on the sides, waiting on the wings. If they might third party this, Gen G
Пришли мстить.
There's another knock on infantry. I could definitely see a world where Gen G thinks it's a good idea to get involved in this fight.
Who is closing in though, so maybe just stay on the edge and anticipate the push from infantry in this direction. We'll see.
Они одного, короче, их всех троих. Нормально. Нормально. Вообще. Интересно, если такая опять будет до последнего мышевать, короче, а потом буду чё? А, ну и потом выйдут в финал и проиграют его. Всегда.
No way, no how. All right, kickstart. Driving down the hill is Gen G now. They're just going to try to set it. Gen G really likes these kind of shoot and covers. They send a vehicle down, but an Onyx and an Aster are both going to pay the price this time around. Pio tries to find the backside of kickstart and uncharacteristically whiffing with that SLR.
This to me is a perfect example of now teams having too much faith in the drive-by. They knew exactly where they were. They knew they were going to have the advantage. But Gen G is like, yoo-hoo, drive-by meta, we can just drive by and kill them, and it doesn't always work the way you want it to. When they get the upper hand, when they get to shoot first, I would assume that it is still easier to shoot from afar. Roth taken down despite having a Groza. Loki able to connect some good shots there. Kickstart pushing over the top. It's going to be taken down by Texu. No! Loki had the perfect position to take down Kickstart.
Да ну ладно. Серьезно?
Will get the punish in the end, but ends pushing out of the compound, doing damage once again. Passive ends is gone, the proactive ends is here, and they're here to kill. Now infantry on the west side might have something to say about this rest opportunity coming in for PO.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't expect infantry to let Gen G get out of their grasps if they can so help it. The grenade does finish a non-X.
Блять, эти ёбаные ифти, блин. Давай, Ген G. Понятно, все. Ну, минус еще одни, блин. СТК приблизились.
Takes a little bit of damage. Jeeves again with a nice spray here, but Spit sneakily coming up the stairs doesn't fool him. Somebody
Блядь, ты что, ну?
Really well done by Team Liquid. Good communication or just good ears one way or another. That is Liquid playing very, very well there.
Did all the damage towards AAA, but at what cost? They lose 2 players in return on the west side over towards where Mex is. You can see, while they were kind of trying to help out help out the Jeems, sorry, they ended up being exposed to Virtus Pro on the other side, and they lose 2 players. So Jeems might have got himself a handful of kills at the loss of 2 teammates. Mexi is looking over the top, trying to keep Virtus Pro at bay, but VP ain't in a hurry to leave. They go, Mexi, we have the circle. You don't. You have to move before us. Is that a nade? Oh, nope, no, that's a flash. Would be blind for a good while there.
Right at the feet there. But it is okay. Pack Caps already knocked, so now we can try for the res. Bale Frost driving, looking for a new angle potentially. Pack Caps relaying the information as best as he can to what's going on, but there's a lot of smoke up there obscuring the vision. Africa quiet so far this one with just...
Так. Начинается в деревне утро. Что с трансляцией?
JR's going to be found by EJ. They start picking off kills. This is what I like to see from Africa. This is when they're at their best.
Did Mexi just get granted 2 more kills? Nope, he did not. denying it. I don't think TSG knew of Mexi's position. He might have been able to get two had it not been because SDK wanted.
Нифига он ему дал.
In between multiple players. Volibear goes down to blue. Not sure exactly how that ended up happening, but it does. Phase 4, we know there's no rest opportunity, no rest optional for him, and in the end.
Ну так вот, минус ликвиды. Короче, СТК нокают, а у них киллы забирают.
Yeah, it's a good attempt by TSG, but just too many teams over there on the east hanging around those dirt roads. Centering up onto Shaolu, the only one left. 4 a.m. now. A lot of teams up on the north. It's Spyro finding another good knock onto Tank for MCG, but MCG should be resible, I believe. We'll see how aggressive they want to get. Meanwhile, SDK looking for third-party opportunities.
СТК закидывает, красавцы, ну! Ёпта нахуй, блядь, чуть-чуть левее бы. Хорошо. Еще разочек бы. Хорош! Хорош, СТК! Вот это, блядь, трехочковый реальный. Вас сейчас килл заберут так, блин. Молотов кидай.
But that smoke wall is going to cover that. Spyro going for the res. Purdy doesn't want to let it happen. The timer going off in his head. He knows he needs to get in and finish the job, but he wraps around him. Do-si-do for Purdy Curdy. Batulin's still in there. He's got to realize it now. Oh boy, Toby, he's prone. I don't know if he can survive this. Coming up and over, and it's going to be
вот так вот, блин.
Batulin's finishes it. So Purdy just outguesses himself a bit.
Дебилы, блин. Что молик нельзя было кинуть в этот, блядь, дым. Просто кинь молотов, блин. Слышь, смотри, у тебя флэм, короче, понял? До сих пор живет, до сих пор. Я балдею просто, как, блин. Он такую крысу играет там, вообще, блин, по жесткому прям. Сюда минус Ифти, короче. Сейчас Ифти еще на первое место так выйду, слышь. Он реально мышует, он тупо в кемпах сидит, короче. Он прям в центре засел и сидит. И прикинь, вот как, блядь, он так живет, а? Он просто даже, он не то что сидит, он просто лег и лежит там. Очкует, ёптана. Давайте, блядь, такая, крадите фраги вы. Все, спалился, блин. Они между собой там воюют, но ты спалился как-то. Хорош. Блин, ну этот трехочковый, конечно, ты кинул нахуй четко. И еще один. Блядь, ну задел, хорошо. Заеби. А фраг стырили, да? Ну да. Он нокнул, но у него его спиздили, блядь. Вечно такая хрень. Одни нокают, бля, другие пиздят. Понятно, блядь. Все ясно, да.
and infantry as it kicks off with Longsker getting a double head.
Все, ладно, минус СТК, понятно, короче.
Well done there by Rustenmar.
Great play. He knew he had to deal with them fast because they have Bo Liang kind of Xiao Yang, sorry, kind of pinned down the hill. He knew that he had a few seconds more where he's isolated now. Bo Liang.
Сам себя машиной нокнул! Красавчик Ифти. Сам себя просто тачкой нокнул.
Does go down, should be a safe rest. I'm not assuming to see infantry push forward, knowing they've just lost 2 players. And nope, they do not indeed. They stay down on the south side. And again, Lou, I mean, this is where the aggression.
Опять СТК нокнули. Ну, блин. Ребят, ну серьезно, блин. Встретились 2 топа.
Trying to stay alive, but it's not going to be easy against the 3 from Ents.
Yeah, Longsker heating up a bit, and I don't mean that literally with the molly there. I mean figuratively with his shooting. He's getting some really nice ones going. Zhao Yang throwing stuns, trying to buy time to recoup, reorganize.
Сейчас еще Африка Фрикс заберет, короче, эту игру.
Stuns now bouncing up to Diggory. They do hit the teammate there, and it's Hikari from Afrika who comes on the side of this. Like I said, they love the third party. They're not going to overcommit. They're not going to push super hard typically. They're going to wait for their
Ты посмотри, что он творит, а? Африка Фрикс. Да нифига себе. А, это Ифти исполнил. Блядь, ну Ифти, конечно. Ты прикинь, слышишь? Этот ФМ, короче, дожил до топ, короче, 4, понял? До финала катки. Он остался 1 в 7. И он будет мышевать. И он еще ложит СТК. Он еще ложит СТК. Он уже второго нокнул. Ну все, его вынесли.
They know there's 7 life there for themselves. Do the math, Afrika Freaks. Position yourself. Push forward. There's 1 alive in the compound. That's separating you from getting that win.
Couple mollies in the hand there for Akkad. He could try to land those inside. EJ completely out of anything for utility. Some smokes.
Блин, если сейчас СТК настреляют хотя бы 2 килла, то они выйдут на это вот, на 4-е место. Ну, надо, чтобы настреляли сначала. Зашибись. А их контролят со всех сторон, блин. А они в кемпе сидят. Молодцы. Хотя, конечно, да, выбора не было. Ну да, сейчас Африка еще, бля, как заберет эту игру. Ты пойду покурю, блядь. Это у меня нервишечки у меня. Не хочу я на это смотреть. Давай обновим.
For SDK to make an aggressive move, and if so, really hope and rely on Akkad and Hansia to make those hits.
Yeah, so for STK here, I feel like it's all about just kind of being patient, seeing what this next circle does. You have no reason to move, and then if you do have to leave the compound, you got to isolate somebody somewhere somehow. There aren't a lot of smokes and other things left for them, a few frags here and there. But for them, they do remain in this compound in phase 8. But because of this, it's going to be out in the open where this one's going to finish.
What does Hansia do? Oh, I mean, sorry, what does Akkad do now? Does he try and wrap south around? I would love to see him try and do that. The only issue becomes he will not be able to get rest should he get knocked down there. If they see him early, if they take him down too early, there's nothing he's going to be able to do. Did he just see him from above? They might have seen him behind. Nope, I don't think he has an idea. Not yet. Now smokes are going to be thrown soon. But if Luke plays this once well, he still hasn't seen him, still doesn't have eyes on. Now Akkad shoots, but doesn't get the shots connected. This is a chance now for Luke to really isolate him. Already got the meds up. He has to try and hold this angle. Has to try and hold up, and you can see that's exactly what they're doing. Uncivil and SDK are going to put a lot of pressure onto Akkad, trying to isolate him, trying to take him down and make this a 3v3. Nate, a little shot, but second one does find him. This should not be a rest opportunity for Freaka Freaks. They will have to play this as 3. Great isolation, great play from Shoot to Kill to take full control over on that side of the circle. And I think, honestly, even though there's a smoke wall right now, EJ, you cannot full commit to this. You cannot leave them with 2 alive on the hill.
This is what makes STK so great, so scary. They're so smart. As soon as they recognize that someone's in a bad spot, like you mentioned, Toby, they isolate it, they take care of business. That is why you gotta love their coach Gunnar. Not just his birthday, but he's done a great job whipping this team into international competitive strength, being one of the top teams here. So, in fact, the top team so far in terms of money, which is what determines the winner of this event. Afrika, though, 3 up on the hill. They have 30 right now. They're fanning out a bit, but they got to be careful. Once SDK starts to push out a bit, they could lose control over that center if they're not careful.
Halo is almost as much on the dot as she could be at this point. Issue is he can't really see anything from that position. He still has to peek a little further over the hill. Luke is still inside the building, and they will be able to sit tight for now. And now where Akkad was the flank before to make a contained play and hold them from flanking out towards the east, that role now goes over to EJ. They're still playing a wide split with kind of a 1-1-1 pearls on a string type formation up the hill. They know they're going to have to make their way up at some point, and I think what Afrika Freaks going to do is to sit tight and wait for the circle to at least have forced the building out so they won't have any hard cover.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Hansia gets a little bit of damage. The blue clips him in the back. Alo throws some grenades, or it might have been one of his teammates. But there still are actually quite a few smokes left for Shoot to Kill now. And those are going to start being fired out. And Hansia still watching that window, waiting, like you mentioned, for the blue to force SDK out of their buildings. But both teams, plenty of smokes still available. So they're going to roll those down, try to cover their movements, try to buy as much time as possible here.
То ты ж его увидел.
Playing this one so wisely, not overextending at all, not giving up his position, just sitting behind that rock, sitting behind the smokes, waiting for them to push forward. Hikari has come down to help him on this side. They're expecting the flank to come up from one side, but with more time spent, the less the opportunity is for Luke to try and push up closer. With the smokes being thrown, they're slowly pushing further forward. This is a very similar situation to the win that we saw from Afrika Freaks against TSM last week.
Просто инфосотка.
Slowly trying to take control of these smokes. You want to have that angle around the smoke before the opponents do, and now they know where they are. They have to push over the hillside. I would assume to see SDK try and wrap west here. Get up, get up, push it forward. You have the nade,
Просто заберут.
flash, push around the smoke on the west side, and I think that's what's going to happen right now.
Хорошо! Ой, хороший СТК! Ой, лучший просто! СТК! Красавцы, на 3-е место вышли, пацаны. Молодцы, пацаны. Давайте, блин, последнюю катку, короче, мне именно. Нахерячьте на 1-е место. И будет супер. Главное, чтобы их сейчас просто не слили в последней катке. А то просто это жопа будет. Pushed together up on the west side of the smokes. Such a smart winning play from STK in getting themselves a chicken dinner here in the second to final game of the weekly finals.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back fantastic performances from STK. Second place in the previous game, first here. Afrika with a really nice movement here, doing what they do best out in the open space, third-partying fights, picking off kills here and there, getting involved in that infantry and ends fight, not losing anybody. Really just losing Akkad kind of hurt them a bit in that final fight.
Yeah, that could have been the difference maker had he stayed alive there. But let's not spend too much time talking about it here, because we have 3 guys who really want to talk about it, and they're damn good at that job there too. Let's hope back to the desk and see what they have to say about the second to final game.
STAOK as they come out with the big win and say happy birthday to their coach, machine gunner by taking that one home. A big shout out to them.
Красавчики,
And for those of you who
красавчики,
might not know, if
просто.
you're sort of joining us in the international level for the first time, they're not even signed. STK makes their own jerseys, they represent themselves, and they
Забрали капку.
absolutely
Молодцы.
lambast lobbies.
Молодцы.
What a game, what a game,
Молодечечки.
what a game. Mwah. Clover, break it down for me. You know the highlights are coming.
Oh yeah, and you know what a game for STK. Prior to this, you know, we saw that second place finish from their second place at Erangel. I knew they were primed for a win here, and that circle popping north of the river. STK was one of the only two teams in that position at that time, and as the circle started to shift a little bit further north, they didn't leave that compound. They played from that position.
Так он еще и нокнул двоих. Просто его последний застыкая его убил в окошко. А так он мог и их троих положить. Ну если бы он не тупанул, он бы мог бы спокойно взять их двоих, забрать спокойно, просто добить и все. Он просто мог забрать. И все. Он и так они без киллов ушли.
Well, then STK will punish you, and that's exactly what happened to Africa Freaks. Africa Freaks actually had another
Это
chance
что в
early
топ-4
on in the game to take them
херня,
out.
да.
And that
Они
was
умерли до
before when we
третьими.
saw infantry and ants fighting on the west side.
Остались 1 на 1 на
Africa Freaks
ХБ
actually
только.
got one knock on Alo, on STK,
По-моему, короче,
but they didn't want to go for STK back then because they knew this is our chance to make sure that
да,
we
Ифти
take out
были, но
ants,
Ифти
we take
сразу
out
разнесли.
infantry,
Ну
and
вот
we
тут,
got
конечно, он мог
whole
исполнить, да,
side for
деверю.
ourselves. So they went
Просто.
back, went back, and then, of course, we
3
saw the
желания
Shadow
для
being
СТК. Ну
decided.
тут красавцы
2
СТК
rounds of
вообще.
STK, but again,
Просто
they
закидали
did
пацана
not
гранатами,
aggress on that.
нокнули.
They would just stay
Он за
there.
зоной
It was so
сдох.
passive. Sure, you can do that,
И
but
тут смотри,
you
что
can't
творит.
move up like this. You can't
Да-да-да-да-да.
get
И все
back by
запушили
a
пацана.
like that if you got
Втроем
to
просто
move up.
пошли
You
пушить.
gotta take control over it. Well played, STK, and ooh, them getting that win. after
Не,
that second
красавцы,
place,
красавцы. Ну.
It's gonna be a juicy league.
Ну что и,
It
они на первом
absolutely is. Let's
месте.
take a look at it right now. 19
49
points
киллов.
go the way of shoot to kill.
Молодцы,
Infantry picks up
молодцы.
a whopping 14, even though they went out in 4th place. They fought for it.
19
That
очков
will give
забрали.
them some ground towards 4
Сейчас
AM.
посмотрим.
Struggled just a little
Ну они
bit.
на третьем
And,
месте, сколько у них
if
очков, я
Africa
так
Freaks make a
не
good
видел.
showing, Clover,
Там
but it is
69,
just
по-моему, у
not
них
enough
очков.
to throw STK out of that compound.
Not enough. You know, they did, as you say, pick up 13 points. They made a wonderful show of it, and we're seeing again how comfortable that they can be here on Erangel. Infantry,
Не,
though,
ну
is
чё,
the
по
team that we've
блатному
been talking
сыграли.
about that's kind of making the climb here.
Мои
You know,
поздравления
they
на
did go out very early, but they look for
СТК
bragging opportunities
красавчики
up there.
просто.
So, well played out by them.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой, СТК, красавчики.
STK. I like what we see here with Infantry. We know they were a team that was chasing 4 AM, being 20 points behind in this game. They needed to get a lot of kills. They needed to get a good placement. And what did they do? They went out, they chased for those kills, they got themselves 10 of those, and as you can see, the
Хинкали?
got 5.
Не Хикари, а Хинкалина.
Слышишь, а русских команд нету, да?
Ты чё, Virtus Pro, Нави? Ну. А ты что, не видел, что у Виртусов там флаг российский? Не видел?
Не, я же знаю, что они русские, я думал, они, может, перешли.
I mean, it was smart, right? It was 4 AM, then 3 AM, then 1 AM, and then threat level midnight. He just hunkers down, Clover, and smartly didn't play the armadillo, as Toby sort of pointed, instead plays the porcupine, and took shots at SDK, took shots at Africa Freaks, let everyone think maybe there's more than just one.
Там Нави, блин, они-то в прошлый раз случайно попали, блин, на первой неделе, блин, в финал. Чисто случайно. Блин, не посмотрел. Что там по позиции? Блин, еще не обновили. Позиции. Обновить позиции. Может, надо, короче, выйти. Перезайти чисто. Блин, надо было просто лобби перезапустить, еще я туплю. Заткнись, скотина. Я сказал, заткнись.
points.
Кто,
in
блин?
Very close.
Кто?
Patrick, I asked you 2 games ago. STK was in 12th place. Do they have a hope of ending in the top 4? We were both a little skeptical, let's be honest.
I weren't super skeptical because this is kind of what
Alright.
happened last weekend. Last week's final, this is exactly what we saw. Day 1, they had 25 points. And what did they do? Day 2, they got themselves 50 points.
Oh,
And this is what happened this weekend as well so far. We're seeing, SDK, they had 28 points. And now they're going up to 64. And we still have 1 game left. And they're in the money for now. But if you look at it, how close it is right now, it is a little bit scary. Not just for the ones in the top 4 there, but also for the ones that is close there. With 1 more game, what are you gonna do? What's your strategy? Are you gonna go aggressive, or are you gonna try to survive and get those placement points?
On the opposite side of that, Clover, Team Liquid started today in 1st place. I don't know if this is an Omega lull, an Omega sad. Like, what do we say here with the fact that yet again, 2nd week in a row, are they gonna miss the money?
It's starting to look that way. When we look at their worst game yesterday, that one they went out early, no kills, I thought that was the
Так,
exception,
и
not the
шо
rule
у
to their
нас?
playstyle. Unfortunately, it seems like it's becoming the rule today, and they just need to shake it off.
64 очка.
A 20-25 point game.
Было
is that
69.
ridiculous,
Почему
but they're not
64 пишет?
You hate to see it, but we're going to the last game. Maybe they come back. Maybe they win with 16 kills. Who knows? It's PUBG. Don't go anywhere. We're going to find out who gets that $50,000 and the bragging rights in just a few minutes.
Здорово, Паха, здорово. Да, я просто, у меня был чат свернутый. Наша команда как называется? Наша команда называется Тварины. Тварины, блин. Блин. Прикинь, Сань. А ты знаешь?
Я не знаю, что это.
Тогда какого хрена ты говоришь, что не знаешь, как называется? Успехи? Да как? Да так, Паха, блин, потихонечку. Потихонечку все. Сидим, турниры смотрим, болеем тут. За не наших, короче. За свои ставки, так сказать, болеем. Сижу тут. Турнир стримлю, короче. А у тебя что как? Как работа? Мансить научился? Ты не мансер. Просто ты ремонтник, да, генераторов.
Bring your best out. Strive for perfection.
Ну, видишь, уже научился. Не сразу же ложишься, блин. Хоть начинаешь контролить его, блин, этого маньяка. А, кстати, блин, зайти попробовать еще поиграть вообще, блин. В эту игру. Не, еще не женился. Блин. Саня, ты когда жениться будешь? Говорит, он не знает, короче. Ну, Паха спрашивает, ты не женился ли еще? На свадьбу хочешь пригласить? Ничего себе. Он на свадьбу, говорит, хочет пригласить. То когда он женится, он не знает. Пока ему мадам Кулачкова отказывает. Значит, не женится. Да, блин, он уже один раз женился и пожалел об этом. Он сказал, что он больше не хочет такого. Затраты лишние. Да, конечно. Да, он женился и пожалел. Один раз погулял на свадьбе и хватит. Winner, chicken. Ну, тут матч настраивается, ж последний за сегодня. Сколько сейчас времени? Ну, через... Не, Пах, я не деньги ставил, я в игре, короче, тут билеты ставишь, там выигрываешь и пишки, короче. Ну, очки специальные. Чтобы тут, типа, за эти очки, короче, скины брать. Это комментаторы, блин. Все сидят, комментируют они тут на нерусском. А, болеть за СТК. А тут так чисто, короче, билеты тут специальные ставишь. Но выигрываешь, короче, там, если там, то берешь там очки специальные. Ну, за очки, там, эти, короче, типа вещи, которые уже, ну, не продаются, то есть. А потом, может, в дальнейшем их можно будет продать. Ну, я, по крайней мере, на это рассчитываю. They can do anything about the top teams right now. They need to focus on themselves. If they start hot dropping, they might lose out a person. That means that they're gonna be out of the money more or less. You want to make sure that you get into the money. A team like STK, we've seen them do a hot drop before, but I highly doubt it. It is make or break it, so they could go all in and basically just go for 4 AM, try to take them out and get them going from there. We just have to see what's gonna happen on that.
We got like a minute. I'm gonna ask you right now, who takes home the grand prize today, Clover? Who's your pick?
Shoot to kill. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
What? Wild and out. Froz, your pick?
I gotta say, infantry is looking good right now. They're super aggressive. They know how they want to play it. They know what they need to do.
Их так слышно сильно. Да по-любому, Пах, ты чё, конечно-то там... Все, Саня, катка началась. Ты шо, там Это ж все турнирное. Там по-любому все блатное должно быть. Это однозначно. Там никаких зависаний, проседаний, ФПС, ничего. Блин. Я не понял, СТК куда летят. А где СТК? А, они, походу, в самом начале, да, выпрыгнули у меня? А, ну да. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Молодцы, в принципе, хотя бы кем заняли. Ха-ха. Он решил с револьвера стрельнуть и убить. Молодец. Ничего не скажешь. Ну что, давайте, СТК. Главное, не слейтесь в начале, пожалуйста. Идите опять на топ 4. Втроем в тачку прыгнули. Смотри, какая GTA поехала. Парень до сих пор летит. Офигеть, он пролетел. Он решил до самого края карты, что ли, лететь? Или он забыл, что надо выпрыгивать? В туалет, походу, ходил пописить. Паха, ты еще тут? А ты можешь мне это подсказать? Качество нормальное ты видишь или плохое? Нормально, да? А, ну все, отлично. Это хорошо. Спасибо, Пах, спасибо. О, давайте валите, давайте ликвиды, валите этих ифти. Это хорошо. Сразу же минус топчики, это будет шикарно просто. Минус ифти раз, минус ифти 2. Минус Ифти 3. А. Да, минус 3. Минус 3 Ифти уже в начале катки. Хорошо.
And it worked. You're doing the infantry to infantry. I mean, think about this for Oath, Toby. Infantry has been a heartbreaker to them at a couple instances with that bridge camp in particular. So I think for Oath, this makes perfect sense. If there's a team that you want to punch in the mouth and say, you know, we're not happy with what you guys have done to us, show us some respect, this is the perfect team to do it to. They take infantry, they take 3 kills off of them, only lose 1 themselves. In my book, that's not just a win in terms of points, but psychologically as well.
It's one of those, if we ain't gonna win any prize money, you ain't gonna win any prize money either. And while it's not impossible for infantry to get prize money, 1 player alive, they would have to stay in the top 4, and ends right now, the team down there, 9 kills would get them up and above. It's gonna come down to these teams that are sitting between 4th and I want to say maybe 8th place to see if they can go out and surpass infantry.
Stay up.
Really, really excited for this now, especially with that early move by Oath with infantry on the back foot. SDK ends still very much in it. Furry Rob has an outside shot. If
Да ни хрена себе это СТК, чтобы 16-18 кило. Это если еще 4 без киллов останутся.
North of the team that's right next to them, just ahead of them in the point standings right now in SDK. And let me ask you this, Toby, we saw this from SDK when they won their PCS, when they pulled up onto, I think it was Wildcard at the time, and, you know, kind of hot dropped them and then just kind of blocked them and barricaded them and ended up winning the round in part because of that. Do you think they should have...
Блин, СТК не в зоне. Это плохо. Это очень плохо.
Separated by, let's say, 20 points down to third, there'd be an argument that could be made if there was nothing for them to lose by making an aggressive play like that. Like, even if they don't survive, as long as we make sure that 4M doesn't either, we'll be fine. Then I could consider...
Да, на СТК. Но мне надо было, чтобы они просто хотя бы в топ-4 вошли. Сейчас пока они на 3-м месте идут. Ну, хочется, чтобы они на 1-е как-то вышли. Вообще было бы шикарно. Ну, Виртусы приехали. Давайте мстите ликвидам. Ага, понятно, сейчас ликвиды их раскатают. Понятно. О, пошла. Пошла жара. Что он творит, блин? Одни баскетболисты в этих катках, блин. Просто минус Виртусы, блин. Минус Виртусы. Уи. На, еще 3-очковый. Ну все. Для Виртусов эта игра закончилась. Парень просто зажат. Так, кстати, ликвиды тоже. Вы давайте прекращайте тут настреливать. Что уже, слышь, 5 киллов имеет. Нормально заехали, пацаны.
overextending themselves, not really catching much damage from Hiruzen just yet. Circle number 2. Where will you go? Oh, okay.
Офигеть.
This isn't as crazy as it could have been. You can hear just a shred of disappointment in my voice, I know. But at the end of the day,
Хочешь прикол, Сань?
a little bit nice for the play.
Сейчас СТК, короче, стукнутся об эти. Об Angry Man.
Oat are in the best position.
Либо...
And I'm kind of with
А нет, объехали.
throwing it all away and not dropping
Я думаю, сейчас будет замес.
waiting for them to leave that compound, leave the absolute best compound in this circle for a win, just to try and fight other teams for the sake of it. If they want to be the Rampage team, the Joker team that just goes out and does crazy stuff, keep doing it. Why stop there? Why stop with infantry? When you can fight
MCG. Сейчас высадят.
might as well just keep going, keep
С
doing
ликвиды будут высаживать. Нет, не высаживают.
I feel like
Попасть не могут никак.
Emperor in the Roman Colosseum. I'm like, entertain me, or you get the thumbs down. Oath. No, they're. I think for now, we'll see what they want to see what they want to do. Zenith, right.
Нормально.
4 a.m. site.
Нормально.
Something wonky happened over there. But anyway, now they are driving through Team Liquid territory. And Jeeves gets Punich. Zenith still driving, still trying to find a home. And it is summer, going to be taken out there. PO Genji next to MCG, just to their south in the sushi houses and other things right on the edge of the Pajiki Fields.
They're in between multiple players here. 4AM are trying to get eyes on from above. They didn't manage to find any kills so far, but again, keep in mind every single time we see 4AM in the kill feed, and there we go.
Просто в дым настрелял и нокнул.
Every single time we see them rag up.
Нормально.
We talked about
Читеры. Одни читеры. Сплошные читаки. Все, последний. Я же говорю, Виртусы вылетели первыми. С 1 килом. Ну, хватит чё. Зены вылетели. Ну, правильно, блин, слабые команды убиваете только. Блин. Топчиков надо было валить. Кроме СТК. Смотри, 4 Саня так и хотят, короче, выкружить эту неделю. Ну, почти 3-очковый. Так. ЗВ, П, А, УС, 8, К, 3, WDG, WDG. Один момент. Что? Я же все ввел правильно вроде. Офигеть. Какую-то буковку я все-таки пропустил. А, Д. Пошли вы в задницу. Данный код не действительно. Ну, все. В принципе. Что я тут сегодня вывел? 2 кода. Да, тут быстро вводят. Я не знаю, тут, наверное, дают так 100 тысяч кодов, блин. И их просто сразу же, моментально. И нету, блин. Тут, короче, ну... Моргать нельзя. Вообще, блин. Реально. Моргнешь, все потеряешь. Если я на прошлой неделе еще успевал вводить, получается, быстро, и все 5 кодов вводил, то что-то на этой вообще из 5 2 или 3 успеваю. Что, Саня, у тебя не было кода еще? А, Саня? Саня! Не было кода еще? Был. Да, за них. Ну смотри. Короче, получается, на выходных дают за них EP, за который ты можешь вещи покупать. А по будням дают купоны. То есть, ну, один купон в неделю, правда. Получается, дают. Ну, это купон, короче, который ты можешь поставить на команду. Что? Только что дали? Ввел? Савчик. Бах. Как он выжил, блин? Как он выживает? Все, нокнули. Нокнули пацана. Смотри, этот один ифти, блин, и живет так долго, еще и нокает. Не дайте ему, блин, больше набирать очки. Вы че, ребята? Хватит, все, блин. Троих вынесли, блин, с самого начала игры. Убивайте последнего. Чего вы паритесь, блин? Все понятно, он услышал. Все, хорош. Хорош. Минус топовый. А? Да ладно! Офигеть! Просто, блин. Он троих, прикинь, убил. Он убил троих. Просто. Вообще, блин. Чудики. Да, конечно, надо, блин. Мне надо, чтобы они вообще на первое место вышли. Тут энсы на пятки наступают. Ликвиды. Да и Дэй недалеко, блин. Короче, надо, чтобы СТК сейчас вообще так настреливал. О! А почему сейчас СТК здесь нет рядышком, чтобы взять, забрать эти киллы? Тупо просто взять, добить, блин. Не, ну понял, когда вот эти вот на нижних позициях выносят топовых первых команд, это нормально. Ну, или которые там на пятки нам наступают. Ну, Африка, в принципе, не наступает. Они даже бы не догнали бы ни СТК, никого. О, СТК настреливает. Они одного, я видел, нокнули точно, блядь, но не забрали. У Сани, да, у него, по-моему, русская трансляция. Ты в ВК, да, Саня, смотришь? Он через ВК, да, он говорит, у него русская трансляция там идет. Он русскую смотрит. Там мне не важно, что комментаторы говорят.
Код один и тот же.
Не один и тот же код.
Один и тот же. Ты из двух трансляций не можешь...
Я в курсе. Но какая разница, где я смотрю и что я веду?
О, Павка, привет! Долори ДРБР Бельгига здорово.
Чего?
Ну, я не прочитал.
Смотри, энсы, блин, убили двоих, но они все равно на 4-м месте. А СТК пока 0 убили. Но они на 3-м. Смотри. Не стреляет, подходит ближе. Он что, его не слышит, что ли? Я не понимаю. Вот реально, вот поглушенный какой-то. Прям в наглую к нему поднимается, а он его даже не слышит. Да это нормально, Саня, если твоих сейчас фоуменов вынесут. Они на 1-м месте. Да, если они будут даже на 2-м, тебе пофиг. Тебе, вот если СТК будет на 1-е, то тебе будет зашибись. И мне будет хорошо, ну. Надо, чтобы этого ифти вы... Бля, уже шо? У СТК -1. Офигеть!
Так у них в начале уже было.
Нет. Только шо вот вынесли. Сейчас СТК... Так, килл СТК, сейчас минус СТК. Минус 2 СТК. Все, минус СТК. Просто минус СТК. Вот у утырки, блин. Все, сейчас Энсы их обгонят, и Дэй тоже. Все, СТК, короче, вылетели. Они не будут в топ-4. Саня, ты в порядке?
Пашка, я в порядке. Пашка.
Все, я тебе отвечаю. Сейчас, блядь, просто-напросто, блядь. Если сейчас Энсов не вынесут и Дэев, это пиздец будет.
Жопа, блядь.
Это будет полная жопа.
Жопка.
Ну все, твои на первом месте 100%. Ифти явно не выйдет на первое место.
Ну да, лучше бы на первом, конечно. Тебе было бы хорошо.
Ну ладно, хотя бы. Ладно. Хотя бы в топ-4, чтобы они остались. На третьем месте даже останутся, уже будет хорошо. Ну блин, я не знаю, ну как они так в такую жопу попадают? На последней игре, ну ребят, ну соберитесь в жменю, блин. Кое-как вошли в тот топ-4 и тут на тебе. Мне надо, чтобы вот эти вот повыходили в четверке. Вот этих вообще должны вынести, и вот этого. Все, вот эти вот команды, чтобы вышли в четверку. Сейчас Генджи исполнит. Отвечаю, сейчас Генджи нахуй просто заберут эту катку. Хотя Энсы, сука, живут, блядь. Надо выносить этих Дэев и Энсы. Это 100%. Да. А все, СТК уже на 4-м месте. Понятно, блин. Шо, а? Как назло. Как назло просто, блин. Сдохли просто-напросто в самом начале. Видать, всего один килл.
Starting to beat on the heads of 4 a.m. right now. As all of these teams that are still behind them, there's still hope. There is still a chance that they could sneak away that money from them. Evil Lee has a tree and not much. He's going to need his teammate to open up some space in front of it. Longsker on the move again with his Dacia. Cuts into the graveyard of some other vehicles, and I believe this is where the Freaks met their end, and Relo puts a whole bunch of damage into him. He's able to get down, but Relo's going to try to blow this building.
А все, блин, сейчас еще Дэй выйдут.
Just away from him, fortunately for the infantry member.
More kills coming in now. Full ends as they take down 2, but with the 2 kills coming in, infantry also grant themselves one more.
Ты, этот Ифти, он просто живет и живет. Ну, СТК уже на 4-м, Энсы вышли на 3-м. Но этот Ифти, блин, он до сих пор живет. Его уже приняли только что, он все равно подхилился. Он -1 Дэй. Давайте, Энсы, убивайте Дэев, пожалуйста. Джинджи, Дэев тоже туда же. Сейчас еще и Джинджи как выйдут вперед. Ёпта, блядь. Я из-за этого забыл. Блядь. Мне надо тупо, чтоб Энсы, короче, раскатали. И Дэев, и Джинджи. Чтоб Энсы раскатали. Да мне пофиг. Мне главное, чтобы вот Дэев и Джинджи сейчас просто убили без скиллов, чтобы они без скиллов были. Минус Энси 1. Понятно. Ну, короче, я в пролете, блин. 100% сейчас СТК. Именно СТК, вот именно такие падлы, а. 1 килл дать за всю катку. 1 очко забрали и все, блин. Все, Д обошли СТК. СТК на 5-м месте, блин. Все. На последней катке, блядь. Энси 3-е место. Спасибо, Пах, спасибо. Ну и сейчас GNG еще выйдут в топ-4, 100%. Это их катка. Вот, пожалуйста, 3. Теперь Ифтика. 1 дожил до финала. Еще и дал минус 3. 1. Ё-моё, блин, ну как вот они... СТК вчетвером, блин, 1 килл дали, а он 1 дожил до финала, еще и живет до сих пор и дал минус 3. Бедный парень, ну. Все, забрали его. Ну все, For Angry Man 1-е место 100%. СТК бы не зашли. Смотри, 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 хилится. Хилится за зоной специально, понял? Исполняет, короче. Чтобы все внимание от него, короче, отвлекли. И все, и сейчас тут сдохнет. Не успеет, не успеет, не успеет. Все, сдох. СТК уже даже на 6-е их спустили. Офигеть просто. Просто офигеть. Сейчас GNG. Смотри, геники выходят в топ-4. 100% выходит в топ-4. Все. И вот они сейчас. Пам, на 3-е место. Просто на 3-е место. И вылетели. Энси 4-е, Геники 3-е, Ифти 2-е. И 4 ам, короче, они 1-е. Ну чё? Типа это была последняя катка, да? Короче, можно закрывать. Ну. Закрываем лавочку. В баню. Гады! Гады! Так, а что у нас там? Аба. Так, надо кое-что сделать другое. Вот так. А-ха-ха.
Проем на первом.
Чё?
Проем на первом месте.
Ну, так я же сказал тебе. Что ФОМ был, они на первом месте. Потом, даже, по-моему, по убийствам, короче, они на первом месте. О, 112 штук. Сорвали. Слюхи. Так, шо, в дуо, да, пойдем? А, блин, наверное, надо же врубить это, да? VPN. Сейчас, Аня, включу VPN. По-быстренькому. По-быстренькому. Саня, ты в порядке? Ты скажи мне, Саня. Саня, ты в порядке? Ты в порядке? Ты скажи мне, Саня. И надо еще в магазин сходить. Сигарет купить.
Да, можно сковородку взять будет.
Сколько у тебя сейчас записок? Сколько у тебя записок?
49.
149? А, ну вот тебе сотка. У тебя еще останется.
Фотка. Или можно взять УАЗик, шлем.
Что? Обратите к поставщику вашей платформы. Не допускается в вашей платформе. Перезапустите игру. Что? Ты шо? Больной, что ли? Теперь нам чё? Что? Что за бред? Ты чё? А, меня выкинуло со стима, блин. Блин, какой пароль? Блин. Пожалуйста. Блин. Блин. Какой пароль? Офигеть. В смысле? Steam. Я вообще не понял, какого хрена, блядь, она вышла мне со Стима, блин. Не могу войти в аккаунт, блин. Бред какой-то, блядь. Капец. Подтвердить.